All right, welcome back. Today we are looking at r/AskALiberal.
So you didn't know about this before, right?
No, I've never heard of it.
So I go on Reddit a lot more than you, I'd
This
say.
guy's a Redditor.
I'm a fucking Reddit mod.
Redditor? Are you actually?
No, I'm not.
That'd be pretty sick.
But just to introduce, I think this is pretty interesting. There's an equivalent for conservatives as well, but it's basically just people who are not liberals asking liberals questions, and we're going to go through and give our answers to some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to go like change it to like top of the month or something, and we can kind of start going through
Sort by top.
and then do
Does
that.
this thing do
Do
it?
time span.
This month.
Yeah.
Or I want to do all time
Yeah,
because
you do that too.
we don't do things that are topical. Okay, this is the number one all time. All right, let's get it. Okay. We can just take turn or no.
Yeah, I'll start. All right. So a surprising number of Trump voters in exit polls consider Biden corrupt or head of a crime family. What is this about? That seems like more of a question to ask conservatives.
Yeah, I'm wondering why they're asking us that. A surprising number of Trump voters think that Biden's corrupt, and they're asking us. Oh, maybe they're asking like, we think this. Why do you think we think this? Okay, here's what I'll say: is that populism has been on the rise a lot recently. Trump has very effectively targeted people that are populists, and I think that a narrative, false or not, as a part of populism, is that like the elites are benefiting off of the proletariat or like the working class people. So I think thinking that the elites are corrupt or a crime family kind of logically follows, it feels like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's not so much about data. It's more about just their perception. I mean, it's the crooked Hillary thing. It's the same thing. It's
exactly.
They think everyone they hate is corrupt, you know.
And that's what
and the
Trump,
Hunter Biden laptop
and like
too.
Biden's less corrupt than Trump, in my opinion.
Isn't that such a crazy thing? Like that his son had a laptop with like him smoking crack on it. And it's like, that means that his father can't be president?
That's what I mean. That's the thing that's kind of great, is that like, if the fight is between Trump and Biden, but all of the indictments and all of the crime-related things have to do with Trump and then Biden's son, it's like if you're just looking at from that perspective, then like it feels like Biden's a lot less corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe Hunter's corrupt, but he's not trying to run for president.
Exactly. Yeah. Why do you hit this next one?
Okay. Do you think the LGBTQ community, especially in red states, should be worried about the future in this country?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of Republican lawmakers who want to outlaw gay marriage. I mean, they won't come out and say that most of the time, but I think that if we ever got a Republican supermajority in the Senate, I think they would start doing stuff like that. I don't believe in stuff like that these people want to trans genocide or anything like that, but I could see them removing certain rights from trans people, getting rid of gay marriage, and so I think you should totally be worried if you're a gay or a lesbian or a trans person in this country, you know. Yeah,
and there's like definitely even proof in like this in the slippery slope that is, like now that Roe versus Wade has been overturned, there are states like Alabama that are talking about giving embryos rights, human rights. There's states that are talking about getting rid of like Plan B or getting rid of different types of contraception. It's like that is like the next logical step in like what they want to happen, right? So it's like it does not make sense for, let's say there's some kind of like anti-trans bill that passes, that why wouldn't they next go to like gay people, you know? And I'm not saying like this is like we're trying to fearmonger, but it's like these things logically follow, and it's already kind of happened with abortion, and now other things have happened. So why wouldn't it happen here?
I will say, in a pragmatic sense, me and Rowan were having a conversation just before this about moderate Republican governors. There are a handful of Republican governors and senators and representatives who are pro-gay marriage. And just if you are someone who is conservative and, you know, you want lower taxes and all that stuff, but, you know, you support gay people or lesbian people, consider voting for those people in primaries, because these are citizens whose rights should be protected.
Yeah. Also, like for all of you people that are still Republicans and even sometimes still want to vote for Trump, know that like not all of us think that you're like, not all people on the left think that like you're crazy. Like I can understand why people might want to vote for Trump over Biden. I think you're wrong, and that's not like me trying to shit on you. But it's like I understand the perspective, right?
Yeah. I'd even go so far as that there's probably a couple issues where I think Trump is better than Biden. I just think Biden's far better on the overwhelming majority of issues. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. What Okay, I want to rephrase this one. So why do you think conservatives push conspiracy theory that Joe Biden has dementia, but idolize Ronald Reagan, a guy that actually had dementia as president?
Do you remember the Reagan thing?
No, but I want to ask, why do you think conservatives push conspiracy theories more than Democrats, or do you think they do?
I would say they do, but I wouldn't say that it's like a 99-1 thing. I'd say it's like an 80-20 thing.
So pretty significant.
For sure. I think it's probably because most of the mainstream institutions have become socially liberal at this point, whether you look at, entertainment or news or, business, like most companies and film studios, like they'll all put out like pretty woke stuff, because it helps because most people are woke, it seems like. So I think conservatives don't like institutions. And when you don't like institutions, that funnels very easily into, let me find a way that these institutions can be corrupt. They're working for evil interests,
I wonder, okay.
That would be my theory.
Conservatism and liberalism are two opposites, right? But they're moderate opposites. So why do you think the right has gone so much farther anti-establishment than the left? Because there's people that are anti-establishment on the left and the right, but a vast majority, or a significantly larger percentage of people on the right are anti-institution.
I think you know the answer. It's one word.
What?
Trump.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, these guys been targeted by every institution.
Do you think they were pretty close to 50-50 before that?
Yeah, I think if you go back to like 2005, you could see a lot of conservatives.
Because that's what conservatism is, like moderate change within the current system. So is liberalism, and then like far right and far left is like kind of the destruction of that entire system and like revolution, right?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be.
But now it seems like the moderate conservative position is like the not the abolition of the system, but it's not moderate change within the system that exists.
I think that's a good point, and I think some of it is temporal, like in our view of it. Like we were talking about this on the Candace Owens thing, where like I think Republicans, like if you're watching this and you're conservative, you might have a perception that institutions are woke because they're corrupt. That's not what it is. They're woke because they're feeding their interests, and the interest is that most people share those views.
And regardless of what you think woke means, more people are probably woke. I probably have a different definition than you guys about what woke means. I don't think it's as malicious as some people might feel that it is, but most people are woke. If like you consider woke meaning we should care about like the rights of minorities, we should try to make people feel more included, all of those things you could consider woke, but most people want those things, which is why mainstream media, popular television, pop culture, all of these things are following what the woke agenda is. And it's not an agenda like it's some bad thing, but most people are woke. So it makes sense that most institutions are. Wait, let's see that one. Does anyone else really hate the fact that no matter what the right does, it's never considered cancel culture by the general public?
They bring up Kaepernick here. That's a great example.
Well, I think, okay, we're kind of taking this away from Destiny here, because I mean, he was the first person that I heard talk about it. But the reason why it's not cancel culture on the right is because the right has no power. The right can't cancel anyone because you don't have enough people within the social groups, within the institutions that would effectively cancel someone.
As far as the right?
Yeah, the right can't. The right can't cancel anyone.
I mean, I would mostly agree with that,
cancel,
but they can certainly attempt to. And this kind of the conversation we were just having about 20 years ago is very different. Like they bring up the Dixie Chicks.
Why doesn't the general public call it cancel culture? Is because you didn't get canceled, so the general public can't call it cancel culture.
Would you not say Kaepernick was an example of that?
Of cancel culture?
Yeah. I'd say that's an example
I think it was
of one institution. The NFL is a conservative institution, probably one of the last ones.
Yeah.
And that was probably an example of someone being canceled. It happens. Okay,
so that actually is a good example. That proves the broader point, which it doesn't matter if it's left or right. It's just people in power have the ability to cancel you. And more people on the left are able to cancel people because more people on the left have the like the social power at this moment, It's
a good answer, yeah.
Wait, did you find something, or were you just scrolling down?
Do you automatically lose a conservative?
Why is there a woman from the Biden administration on TV answering questions from the press?
Because she's
seems really weird to me. I don't know what's going on, and I'm frightened now.
This guy's fucking far left, he says.
Far left.
You're a sexist. Qualified. You're a misogynist. That's what that is.
And you are. Like those. Oh man, dude, I want to go on such a big arc, and I've already kind of started it. Like it's so cringe how like you can't call anyone sexist or racist or anything anymore because those are still real things. But it's like you call someone that, they're just like fucking snowflake, fucking.
Some people are sexist,
and that's okay.
Especially on fucking Instagram.
Yeah,
I keep seeing
it. It still happens.
God,
and dude, it's so
make
cringe.
A video essay on that, man.
Yeah, that's big. Actually, I want to do that. Fuck you. I'm gonna write that one.
But dude, like, I mean, no one's like the thing with the Instagram thing is like Women can do anything and men will shit on them.
Yeah, and this is the real thing. So let's say a man gets a 10% on a math test.
Mhm.
That man is stupid. Let's say a woman gets 10% on the math test. Women are stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but that
It's sexism. It's you're saying I'm going to take an example and blame the gender on it.
yeah.
Or blame it on the
But when it
gender
comes to
on
men, I'm going to take the example and blame the man for it, not the gender.
Yeah. And I don't know why men's rights activists can't just say, hey, there's a lot of issues facing men. Listen, you want to talk about suicide? You want to talk about divorce rates? You want to talk about, the dating situation going on? I'm all ears to that. And I'm open to solutions to try to work on that. It's just like, can you meet me in the middle and say there are also issues facing women? Like that's why no one agrees with you, is because you're not willing to compromise at all. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Is it just me, or do the good guys with guns never be around when the shooting starts?
That's a good point.
Wait, but why are they asking us that?
It's probably just, they're another liberal.
Wait, I'm so confused. R/S liberal should not be that. Okay,
let's find a good one.
We're not reading anything that's tagged as liberal.
Centrist.
Is it just me, or do most Democrats agree the Chinese government is bad, and it's just Republicans who think they condone everything China does?
So what do you think? Do you think I think I would agree. I don't know.
I think that any communist government.
Is it another Red
bad.
Scare thing? Do you think that's what the Republicans are trying to do? Because they've definitely been trying to brand like a Chi-Com Joe. They're trying to brand the Democrats with the Chinese Communist Party. You think it's a Red Scare thing?
It feels like it's a Red Scare thing, but
because I talk to Democrats, I haven't heard anyone say China's great.
The thing that surprises me though is it does feel like a red thing. But the Soviet Union was communist, right?
Yeah.
So is the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
But no one where's the consistency in hating the Chinese Communist Party but not hating Putin on the right? Is it just because
Russia's no longer a communist country?
Yeah,
since the Soviet Union fell in 1991.
No, I know that. Yeah. But I'm saying is there effectively a difference between them being classified as a communist party previously and what Putin is doing now? He is the ruler. He's the authoritarian ruler.
I think it is shocking how many Republicans defend Putin. I think the simplest answer is it's just an extension of Trump.
And it is.
But also, I think it's a little bit deeper than that. Let me just make this point real quick. I think it's a little bit deeper than that because they also support, other dictators around the world. I think there's an appeal to fascism that I see. I watch those guys. Who are the good liars?
Mm-hmm.
A lot
of literally Republicans.
Yeah, it's Republicans. They're saying,
if Trump wants years of dictatorship.
Yeah, if Trump wants to be a dictator, they're like, I'm cool with it. It's they really don't care about democracy or freedom or personal rights when it comes to voting or any of that shit.
And I wonder if it's just young Republicans. I wonder how many old Republicans, how much cognitive dissonance they're engaging in, that their entire lives, it's pro-freedom, anti-authoritarian, but now the most authoritarian president we've ever seen in history, or at least wants to be. He wasn't an authoritarian when he was previous president.
There have been some pretty authoritarian, but in recent history.
It's just how does your mind change that much? And that actually is a testament to how effective Trump is at bringing people to his side. You can change someone's entire worldview on fascism just by them liking you more. People don't have a principle against fascism. If you have the right person in power and it's a fascist government, you will like them. Case in point, Trump, people saying, I'm okay if he rules for the next 20 years, if he becomes a fascist leader.
And I don't even know why, because if it's not about policy, what is it? There's two options, right? Do they see him as a firewall against this woke culture, or is it just meaningless? Is it just religious? Is it just he is our next religious figure?
That's what it is.
Is there anything that they would break with him over?
It's not principled. It's not by policy. It's not by individual.
It's not even cultural.
It's literally we like him a lot.
So what do you think about why how much you would never say you'd support someone becoming a dictator? How can that work psychologically?
Well, maybe I'm not predisposed for that. I'm probably not seeing the right type of content. It's a lot of things, but none of it's rational.
And if you're transparent about it, if you're like, hey,
it is all rational, but you can explain it. These things seem crazy, but you can explain it. You can probably look at let's say you look at a mega MAGA person and you see their TikTok feed. You can probably assume what it mostly is. Let's say the people they listen to.
But how does that form? Because you could be in a Biden feed and it wouldn't lead you to say Biden should be a dictator. It literally
starts with when I was 15, I was really into Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro because I thought they were owning them super well. my entire feed was curated to like conservatives owning liberals for
That's
like
so
2
funny
years.
to me because you're most like lib cuck person ever now.
Sure, yeah. And I'm just like, I really love that shit. And my feed was curated that. But I pulled myself out when I talked to new people and I heard new perspectives. And I don't think I'm better than anyone in the sense that I was able to do it and like it worked. But it's like maybe some people just haven't been presented with the right type of person to help them get out of any of like the cognitive dissonance stages.
I would just appreciate as a like someone who likes freedom if they could just be transparent and say, "Hey, I don't like freedom. I like fascism."
And they won't
And then
say
it's
that.
like
Because I don't even think they do like
because
fascism.
honestly, just like I don't have a problem if you're just consistent. You say, and I don't think fascism should be something where we say this is necessarily awful. I think you should have to make arguments against it.
I mean,
you know?
fascism isn't even necessarily awful, is it? Like fascism.
They're going to give a weird thing on it. But I think ultimately it's like total control. If that's what you support, go for it. Just be transparent because I know we'll beat you 90-10. You know?
Okay.
Let's do this one.
How do liberals feel about Leah Thomas? I think we have the exact same position in that I don't think a biological woman or biological female should be competing in male sports.
Or the opposite, right?
Or the opposite. Like I don't think the opposite is right.
But she was the opposite, right?
Yeah, no. Anyone who has like a specific advantage over that other group shouldn't be able to do that because anyone who has a disadvantage, they just wouldn't even be able to compete.
I think I agree. I'm 50-50 on it. I've got a really good argument against you though. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So like when you look at like something like the WNBA, like a lot of the women who are in that, most of the women are like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". I think Brittany Griner is probably 6'6", 6'7".
I think she's 6'9", actually.
6'9", you know? How is that not? Or even if you look at men, right, within the NBA, they have a physical, biological advantage. It's not something they worked harder. They just are benefited by being taller, right? And we wouldn't say you have to not be in the league because it doesn't give a fair shot to women who are shorter, you know? So how could you apply that to Leah Thomas, right? It's a biological advantage that exists that we're comfortable with. Why would you care about a biological advantage here?
I think the issue is what is like there's like assumptions that we make about the gender, and there's like a realm of normality that you're a part of, and it's like the typical range of a male basketball player is like 6. The average range is like not the average range. The average height for an NBA basketball player is 6'5", right? Those are all the best in the NBA, and they do that. We wouldn't discriminate against someone who's 5'7", but they also probably wouldn't make the NBA, right?
Well, but they wouldn't make the NBA because of their height, right?
Yes.
How many players have been under 5'7"? I know the answer is 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's Muggsy and Spud. And
they wouldn't make it, right? But
so what's the problem with women who are not as biologically advantaged as Leah Thomas not making women's sports? What's the problem with if trans women take over all women's sports? They just have a biological advantage the same way Braun and Durant. And
because I think it's important to protect women's sports.
Yeah, but it's still women competing, right? And that's my point. Ultimately, I think you have to say trans women aren't women in order to make your point.
In respect to like the sport argument, yeah.
Fair enough.
But I think if you even have
fair enough.
If you have to say trans women are women, then why are you even calling them trans? Because they just are women. You're just calling them women are women.
So do you think Leah Thomas is a woman?
Socially, yeah. But in respects to yes, I think she's a woman. But in respect to like the
sport, when it comes to sports, she's not a woman anymore.
No, she is still a woman, but she's also a man. Like she's a male. Sorry, the biology hasn't changed.
But why is that relevant only when it comes to sports? Like you wouldn't say
sports is.
You wouldn't say LeBron James is like if I want to compete in the NBA, I have no shot, right?
Yeah, but sports don't have a social. They aren't like socially constructed. It's biologically constructed. Like we have divisions between male and female because there are biological differences between the two. If it was just the best play, then we'd have 7 divisions of men playing, and then all the divisions under would be women.
So I think that's kind of getting to the crux of why I agree with what you're saying is like ultimately calling it men's and women's leagues is kind of a misnomer. What we're really looking at is the excellence within men's athletics or males athletics and the excellence within females athletics, right? And it should probably be rebranded as that, or at least understood as that.
And it's just like, you can call it transphobic if you Well, it's just like, oh, it's just so stupid. It's like,
You get what I'm saying, though. There's
no,
not
no,
much of a difference
I'm
between.
just trying to talk to someone who would
between-
even get triggered
yeah.
at the fact that I'm saying, yeah, like Leah Thomas is a biological male, but I'm gonna consider
She
her
is
a
a
woman.
biological male.
I know, but they would get triggered at that even by nature of
It's
saying
so
that.
crazy, though.
And it's like, she still is, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to respect that she wants to be called a woman. I'm not going to I'm going to respect that. I do think there is a difference between sex and gender. I think it is fair socially to consider her a woman. I think you could treat her as a woman, but I think when it comes to sports, which is a biological world, you have to care more about the biology of it. Who gives a shit if you're just walking around and you're calling someone like a woman if they're biologically male? Like, doesn't affect anything. Like, no one's getting hurt by that.
But is your argument mostly that it makes it unfair to other women who are cis women?
Yes.
Then why would you not apply that to like the WNBA and say having like biologically freakishly tall women makes it unfair to average women?
It does make it unfair.
It seems like the trans thing is the main component. I feel like you need to own that. In order to own that, you're probably going to need to say that trans women aren't women.
I already said that. I already agree with that.
But you caveated it into the position of only when it applies to sports.
No, I think it is still true, but it's like there's a difference here. Like, yes, it's true in the realm of the rest of the world, or in any realm where biology is a factor and dictates what happens. That is the way you should treat it. Like, if we're talking about prisons, like, I don't think that we should send a trans woman into a female prison.
So are you saying basically we shouldn't view the WNBA as the WNBA? We should view it more as like the FNBA. Like
the female basketball.
Then I think that's fair.
Yeah. I think
I'm saying as long as we're going to talk about women and men, I don't have a problem with Leah Thomas.
And yeah, I might need to think more about.
It just is an interesting question because some people who we allow in these leagues who dominate have crazy biological advantages that make it harder for people who are normal to get into the leagues.
Wait, so
it's not normal. LeBron is 6'9". It's not normal to be 6'9". You could be just as excellent as LeBron and be, what's the average height for men? 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah.
And you would not have much of a shot.
Okay, so
would
would you prefer that we had leagues for all, like, leagues that like equalized everything?
I think
Like,
I agree with you ultimately. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think
I'm trying to reverse you. I'm trying to reverse
okay.
you.
Hit me. Yeah.
Do you think that we should then just have leagues leagues that are divided into like height, weight? Do you think we should have weight classes for sports now?
Kind of like UFC does?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that as long
So
as
you'd
every
like to
weight
see
class is represented. Yeah.
So you'd like to see like a full team of basketball players that are all like 6 feet?
Yeah, I'd be fine with
There'd
that.
there'd be the 6 foot league.
Yeah. I mean, what's the issue with that, right?
Well, there isn't an issue with it. It's just it takes away from like what the sport is.
What's the sport?
Well, the sport is just like a mix of different skilled players come together to create a beautiful.
And with the NBA,
team.
it's who are the best men, right?
Yeah.
Why can't it be with swimming like Leah Thomas? Who are the best women? Leah Thomas is the best woman.
Females.
Why?
Well,
why not women?
It
why
can be
females?
I'm okay with it being that.
But why females and not women? That's the question you have to answer.
I agree, but I'm fine with that as long as you're fine with the fact that.
No, but answer that question. Why? Oh, so you're okay with the women thing?
Yeah, I'm saying okay. I'm okay with that. But are you okay with like female sports like never receiving, like females never being competitive within women's sports again?
I would ask you, what is the issue with that? If we agree that trans women are women,
because
why are you concerned about females and not women?
It's not that I'm concerned about females and not women. I'm concerned about like the amount of females that would be.
Why?
Yeah, because I think we've protected that sport so that women can be competitive. Females can be competitive within that sport.
Then why isn't it called the female league?
It probably should be, but it's not about the pedantics of like, is it called female or women? Like those things are interchangeably.
Well, but that's literally the crux of the question, though, right?
Yeah, but I don't think people when they made the WNBA are thinking like, okay,
it predates that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like maybe we should change it to the FNBA now.
Maybe
that would be logically consistent.
And I would agree with you. Yeah, but I don't need to change the name. I just think people need to understand what they're getting into, and it is a female league, you know.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with
that. But I do want to think about because that's
a
good point. Like,
it just brings up really good questions about our trans women.
Okay, this is the thing. either I don't care about the issue being fair, or I need to come up with something more consistent, and I just haven't thought about it.
I think if you just last thing on this, if you could figure out why you value a female league more than a women league, then you'd resolve it.
Why do I? Well, I don't.
You do. That's the crux
I'm
of this.
thinking about
Yeah, I like this.
Why do I
question.
value
Oh, no, that one.
a female league more than a woman league? Okay. Well, if I think about
That's
this,
a good
like
one.
if I say I value a female league more than women league, it's because there's more females, so we should care more about them. Why should we care more about a massive group of people over a minority group of people? Because then it helps more people than it hurts. But if it helps, so should we just not care about small groups of people anymore?
Well, no, but you can't even resolve that, right? Because you could say the WNBA helps a larger group of people if it excludes trans people, right? But that's not true. It helps women who are very extremely rarely tall, right? Which is a minority group of people within women. The same way that trans people are a minority group of people within women.
Okay, so yeah, actually, I have to just have to think about it more. Okay, then
it's an extremely tough question when you actually think about it.
I take it back.
But I agree with you. I don't think she should be allowed to swim.
I don't have a position on it anymore.
I would prefer. I think this is a good question.
Wait, are you able to answer that question?
Am I able to answer that question? Yeah, I would. Fuck, I don't want to say this on the show, man.
Okay, we can just go next time.
All right, yeah.
When we get thousands of subscribers, you can do it.
I just want to nuke myself right now.
Yeah, you don't. Oh, wait, did you want to answer something?
I mean, no. I know.
I don't want to say which one. Did you want to answer?
This one.
Why is the left? Okay, here actually.
We're back and we're pussies. All right, what's the next question?
Why is the left so bad?
Okay, so why is the left so bad at framing policy proposals in a way that they might actually gain wide appeal and be adopted? And they give an example.
Dude, I don't even think
defund the police.
For one, defund the police was extremely popular.
Was it?
Know how many millions of people were into it?
Well, you know how many millions of people were into like the vax is going to
Doesn't mean
give
it's
you
not
cancer.
That it's still popular. Doesn't mean it's right.
Okay, well let me reframe it as a majority appeal.
Okay.
Sometimes the left's proposals do that, but sometimes they don't.
The left is bad at framing policy proposals because like a small minority of the left hijacks the proposal and makes it seem crazy. Like in respect to just like the things that have become like defund the police. Why the hell would we defund police? Like, tell me why. Other than you think that like,
or even better,
other than
all cops are bad.
Right? Other than the fact, like, you can't tell me defund the police is a good idea unless you think most cops are bad and most cops are trying to kill black people.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
It's just like a small minority of people that think that have that dumb position have co-opted the movement and have now made it seem insane. Defund the police. If you want,
how about reduce funding to some police departments' activities and
or think of it
reinvest
like
them
this
in other ways?
That's exactly what I was saying. Defund the police and add and donate excess funds.
Like, why couldn't it just be invest in social programs?
Yeah, because that's what it.
That wouldn't pull better.
Of course, it would. Yeah.
Here's another question. I think Biden's one of the most legislatively successful presidents of all time. When you factor in the majority.
Are you, or did you just read that in the headline?
No, I would agree with that. I didn't read that.
Okay.
When you factor in the majorities he was working with and how fucking slim they were, why is he 15 points underwater in approval rating? I would think some of that has to do with his ability to sell his policies.
It's because of his age. It's because of his lack of selling. It's because of the effectiveness.
But let's talk about the selling. Like something like Build Back Better, right? How would you sell that better?
Well, you tell me as an American.
Yeah.
Are presidents historically good at selling ideas? Or not ideas, selling like policies?
It depends. Obama was great at it.
Like when he was talking
Reagan
about the Affordable Care
it.
Act or Obamacare, was he really good at that? What was he good at if you're saying he is?
Yeah, I think he was like Obamacare. And there was an immediate period of like about a year and a half or 2 years where it did cost him because he couldn't sell it very well. But in the long run, that policy has shot up higher and higher and higher the more over his presidency he was able to sell it, you know?
And I think it's more people
Reagan
recognize
could do
the
it too.
benefits of what it
Clinton
did.
could do it
That's
too.
why literally right now, like we had like a bunch of years where we had a few years of people thinking the economy was horrible, and it was pretty bad. But like the economic benefits happened a year ago. Like we started to see benefits in the economy about a year ago, and only now people are starting to realize, okay, it's actually not as bad as we thought it was. It's just people are really slow to seeing like the benefits of the policies that people have created.
Let me ask you a question. And you're not an American, so I would
I'm
understand.
half American, Miles.
But
Oh
you
my
have never
God.
lived there. You never lived there.
I've never lived in America.
Okay, but you read a lot of news. You're half American.
Okay,
So
would you-
so maybe you should be qualified. Do you want?
Go ahead.
All right. Let me ask you this question: if you were Joe Biden's campaign manager, what
I wish. I'd be such a good campaign manager.
What 2 or 3 issues would you center right now? Where we're fucking 8 months away from the election, say these are the things that's going to get Biden reelected. What would you say? These are the 3 issues, not to do with like Trump or anything, but like policies that he's running on. Either I've enacted this or I will enact this that are going to get the most people on his side. And how would you sell them?
Biden wants to protect women's rights to choose. That's massive. Like 75% of the country or more is for some version of abortion.
Mhm.
So that's one. The other one is the I think the CHIPS Act is actually really good because it brought back manufacturing to America. And if you sell that we're bringing jobs back into America, or we're bringing jobs back, or we're creating jobs, but not only are they being created out of thin air, which I mean, they aren't being created out of thin air, but they're being taken away from other places that had previously taken our jobs. That's like a really big thing. Like we're taking back our jobs feels a lot better than we're giving you jobs. It's like this is ours, we're taking it back. So that thing, and then
Do you think you'd be able to prove that to Trump supporters and sway them,
I don't know,
or maybe even 10% of them? You probably just get 10% of them.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, I'm wondering how many people got affected by student debt relief. Okay,
It's a decent one.
because this is the thing. How many? Like, what's the number? Like,
I'd say cannabis legalization and sell it to libertarians on the right,
okay,
or maybe Afghanistan policy and sell it to libertarians. On the
no,
right.
no, that's just too niche. I might even say the student debt thing because student debt affects millions of people, tens of millions of people, right? So that personally affects 10 millions of people. It's probably hundreds of millions of people that either know or are affected by student debt relief or student debt. I think that could be a big thing. You know, say like, I want your debt to be relieved. Personally, I want you to, or I want your cousins, or I want your sisters, or your brothers,
Your kids.
your kids.
Yeah.
I think that's also pretty big.
If you could roll out,
If it's not even the fact that it was like feasible and it happened, just the fact that I wanted to pass this and I did, but the Supreme Court shot down. This is something I wanted you guys to have.
if you could roll out one policy in the next 8 months, if you were Joe Biden, and he will,
A new
roll out something.
policy?
Yeah, because he will. Like, what would you do to electorally?
What policy?
I think I would do tax cuts for low income and middle class people. Probably be the most electorally beneficial thing.
I would just do another policy. Like I don't have a specific one in mind. I just do another policy that affects the masses in a beneficial way.
Like raising minimum wage or something like that.
Something that helps millions, tens of millions of people.
Probably tax cuts then.
Yeah, tax cuts work.
It's fine, you know.
Okay. All right. Is America in the midst of a stupidity crisis?
That's a great question. You talk about this a lot, right? You say, are we getting dumber?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think America's in the middle of a stupidity crisis. Like I don't think people from an IQ perspective are getting dumber. People are always like have always been like, well, I think IQ has risen. I could be wrong on that. But like people are like relatively just as smart as they used to be. It's just like we have our phones now and we have like these pieces of technology that are giving us curated content to like feed narratives we already have, you know.
Another one.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so it's like it's not a stupidity crisis, it's a algorithmic crisis in the sense that you're being fed information that you already believe in. So like people are just being more bought into things that maybe they shouldn't be bought into. People are being bought into positions that probably haven't fleshed out that much. Not stupid. It's like misinformation.
Let's read one of these, yeah.
Yeah, let's do one more. It's 34 minutes in.
I used to be a liberal 4 years ago, but I'm becoming more hateful the more time passes. What can I do?
Wow.
I don't know if my case is unique. Long story short, I used to be a liberal in my early 20s. I'd advocate for injustices and racial equality issues, LGBT rights and such. I've grown more cynical and hateful. My own reasoning is, Woke culture has infected the world. Women, Black, LGBT people are taking the spotlight and are making every single enjoyable thing into a political statement. It has made me exceedingly angrier and annoyed by media, pop culture, blah, 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 blah. Now keep in mind, it's polarized. I mean, what do you think about that? Like, I'm someone who I find wokeness very annoying and destructive in many ways.
I think that's like a pretty common sentiment. Like, it is really annoying. Like, it's a minority opinion that's being, I think forced is the right word. It's a minority opinion that's being forced on people, mostly people who disagree with you.
It's probably the number one reason people are voting against Democrats.
Yeah, I don't like what this like 10% of your group is doing. They don't know it's 10%. They feel like it's the entire group, but it is. It is a small percentage.
To some extent, it's a large degree. Like
no, but I think there's
what you
proof in
consider
it. Like
woke,
think about like AOC. Like who are the most progressive people in Congress, right?
Those people, yeah.
AOC, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, like Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib.
How much are they really
Cori
getting
Bush.
done? And how many people are actually mad at them that they haven't done more?
But I think they would view it more as like what percent of Democrats would call a trans person by their pronouns.
If woke was so pervasive, we'd be seeing 30 House members being woke. It's like 3. Like from like the far what wokeness means. We're just not seeing it as much. It's just not happening.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. We'll be back with you next week with something else.
See ya.